themselves. Here is the Incredible Miracle player. It is YongHwa. He is 2-7, and those 2 wins actually came from the PVT matchup.
Yeah, I feel like the results indicator pointing east there is really like not even accurate. I would actually point it downwards. This guy is a player who's been one of the best GSTL Protosses in the world for a while, a multiple-time all-killer in the GSTL. Comes into Pro League, has poor results in the GSL recently, dropping down to Code B. And I don't even see why he could point to the right. When you compare him with a player like Dream, who has much more consistent results in Pro League, he's 4-5 and 1-1 against Protoss. His indicator point in the East makes a lot more sense to me. I feel like YongHwa is just in a really bad place right now. At least this is his best matchup in Pro League. And, on his map pick in a best of 1 where he doesn't have to worry about the pressures of individual leagues anymore, he can just focus on Pro League. Maybe he can take a win here, but I highly favor Dream right now.
Yeah, I side with you on this one. YongHwa not showing his best play.
Well, let's jump into game number 1 in this old school matchup, IM versus MVP here on Outboxer.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Down here in the bottom right in the blue for Incredible Miracle, the Protoss player, it is YongHwa.
Rolling up his sleeves and getting ready to face this guy at the top left in the teal. For MVP, it's Dream. Very fun match that we're about to watch here. Now, Dream's style in Wings of Liberty was very drop-oriented. He was using the style that Marine King really popularized more than anybody else. Marine King and Pult with the 2 medevacs coming out, doing that drop play. Off 2 base, harassing, doing a lot of damage that way, and then getting ahead because the late game PVT, as it is in Heart of the Swarm, was also something that Terrans normally didn't want to face in Wings of Liberty. The problem for Dream coming into Heart of the Swarm, and part of the reason why I feel like he fell off, is because he was so he was basically relying on this style so heavily, he was so reluctant to switch it up, that he had some really big problems against the Mothership Core and the Nexus Cannon that just denies those types of drops. You can see YongHwa himself not doing so hot recently. He's 1-4 in his recent matches.
Yeah, YongHwa, he's got to pick up his play here. He's on a 3-game losing streak right now. This is a really important match for him. He doesn't want to continue to get more losses if he hopes to be put out here time and time again by Incredible Miracle. There's obviously a lot of, they definitely believe in YongHwa. They have a lot of faith in this guy to come out and win games. He's just not showing it to us yet, and I really hope he turns it on here. Just to build on what you were saying before as well, like Dream a guy not really, adapting to the meta, not really changing up his style. It's so important in a game that can actually be changed and that has balance patches and has expansions to be able to be pliable, to be able to change your build and to be able to practice new builds and stuff like that. Because if you don't, you're just going to fall behind everybody else who's doing just that.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty was a game that by the end of things was pretty figured out. There wasn't a lot changing at the end. Broodlord and Fester was quite common. It was figured out. TVT was pretty much figured out. PVT was pretty much figured out as well. That drop play is one way you can get ahead, but there were no Widow Mines, there was no Nexus Cannon, so there were a few variations. But in general, you knew exactly how to play the matchup. But now, Terrans were having a really hard time. And the Terrans who have adapted and played and learned a new style are the ones who are winning right now. And the ones who have not are barely breaking even, if even that. And I feel like that's a really, really big thing to note right now, because a lot of Terran players who look at the game right now and say, well, look at the results, look at the balance, and look what's happening. I mean, we had a balance patch that buffed the Widowmine, and only a few top Terrans in career are actually utilizing this style, whereas anybody could be and trying to change, and that's disappointing to me. And now, here comes a Reaper Scout. He wants to find out where the pylons are, how many of them there are.
Yeah. Thankfully for YongHwa, he's going to have the Mothership Core out, but he cannot deny, of course, the Reaper going in there and seeing the Nexus. One nice thing that YongHwa did do is he hid a probe in the middle of the map where he knew the Reaper would not be coming, and now he's sending that probe towards the main base of Dream, trying to get a scout on. I think he's actually attacking the Nexus or doing something over there. I don't know if you guys can see that little blue blip next to the Nexus, but it looks like he's going to the main base now and getting a scout off.
Are you talking about an SCV?
No, probe towards the base of Dream.
Oh, yeah, he got killed by the Marine. He saw the command center, harassed it a little bit, it looks like. Sorry. I was looking at your screen.
Well, he was able to at least see the CC, so that's good for him.
Really important. Robotics goes down back at home. This is how YongHwa will play it. He'll play it this way almost every time. Going into Colossi first, then upgrades, oftentimes even before he tries to take a third Nexus. He's doing what, I don't know, you could almost call like the late bloomer Protoss style, where he just kind of sits on his base, gets everything he needs to take a third base, then moves out with it. Well, because this is the way the matchup is played, where upgrades and tech are the most important thing for Protoss, slightly more important than economy in this matchup, most people would argue. It's okay to do that as long as you get that third base up and you start cranking out units after you get all those upgrades. There's several different ways to play this matchup as the Protoss, and YongHwa takes it into this like Colossus to be safe style rather than Colossi to be aggressive. A few Hellions popping out here actually for Dream. He's known to do things like this to try to get some extra scouting information, some extra harass. You know, you play with Keen long enough and he's going to rub off on you. We'll see. I mean, no kills here on this Reaper. He gets the scouting information of the robotics. The Hellion, one of them does go down and nothing else really gained here. He baits the Nexus cannon, but that's about it.
Yep. Starting Immortals right now. Going to just start one for now, wants to be safe here like you were talking about. The one thing I'm not quite sure about this build, especially against a guy like Dream who's going to harass you down, is it leaves you open for good Terrans to take advantage of you. They could just like, you leave them open to tearing you apart if they're able to. You know, it's not really like you're being active, you're just being super passive. So the game isn't really in your hands, and you're not really controlling the game. It's like sitting back and just hoping that you can defend. And against a good Terran, sometimes I don't feel like it's the best strategy, but YongHwa, you know, his style, this is what he likes to go for, so you can't blame him.
Well, it's very turtley, right? And you're relying on your opponent trying to harass you and and defend his damage, and also getting ahead by defending that while you get your upgrades out. That's why this double forge is so important. And like I said before, you know, he loves to just Colossus double forge before a third Nexus. You know, a lot of other players would get a Twilight Council and then take a third base and then use that Twilight Council to hold on 3 base economy with 6 gas, get the upgrades and tech into everything else because you have that extra gas. So he keeps his tech very limited here. You know, he's sticking with just the Immortal that he's got over here, double observers to spot drops. He's got one to the south. So actually even a third observer is out on the map right now. So he's really relying on all this vision and all of his tech here to hold this push that's coming across. But he only has this Colossus about to pop out. His 1-1 upgrade certainly nowhere near completion while his attack hits. There's no third base though, so when Dream sees this, he's going to be pretty reluctant to commit to attacking into this choke point. Well, the second Colossus is going to be queued up at any moment here.
Yeah, I can't see this attack really doing any damage as long as, you know, you got the Photon Cannon up, you got the 1 Colossi, as long as it doesn't get sniped, and as long as YongHwa is, you know, aware of the fact that these drops are going to come in here, which he does have 1 observer down there, but it's not in position, but he knows this is possible, so he's going to move his units back, and he's going to be ready for this.
No, nothing done here. Goodbye, Medivacs. Doesn't even have to use an overcharge. There was no split attack because with that Nexus cannon, it's so hard to actually commit to this without combat shields. You know, the 3 shots on a Marine will pick it off. No Medivacs over here either, besides the ones that just ran away. So that hurts. He actually picks up 2 of the Marines he's bringing over here. Now, this attack could be a different story. That second Colossus isn't out yet. There's the overcharge on the Nexus. And what's most important about all of this is that he has that third command center he's going to be able to use pretty soon. He's also even in workers. YongHwa has kept his probe count low because he needed to for quite some time here to actually afford all the units he needs to defend this type of attack. And he still doesn't have a third Nexus even started.
Yeah, this is the other part of it. If you allow the Terran, if you turtle up enough and you allow the Terran to just take total map control, he can get a much faster third base. And this is exactly what's happening. YongHwa is either going to have to drop a third base here or go for an attack, and I'd like to see them throw down the third base, even though it's a little bit behind.
I think pulling the third base down right now with 2-2 upgrades queued up, 2 Colossi and Immortal, and, you know, a decent worker count is actually fine. You know, it's behind, yeah, but he's got that trade-off of the tech. But the problem is that he seems incapable of actually taking the third base with all this harassment. And he's spread himself too thin. Now he's being picked apart, like you said. You know, you're stuck on these 2 bases with these, you know, big, tall Colossi, these clowns on stilts. 3 units do get dropped off here, but importantly, he saves the medevac. But Dream needs to be careful not to overextend here because with his third base finishing up right now and all of the tech that he's adding, including the second starport, he doesn't really need to kill YongHwa or do a crazy amount of damage. Denying the third Nexus is something that would be nice and would be ideal for him, but even doing that at this point is not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it time and time and again, keeping that army alive for the Terran is also very important. He doesn't want to lose a big chunk of that army on failed harassment when he's already heading the economy back at his home. So it looks like he's going to back off for now. Or actually, he does go back off, and he starts to move his army units out once again. Just keeping that map control in the middle of the map.
A little bit of missing gas income there that the Natural Observer was showing us. Not a massive deal here, but it's definitely something that will make a big amount of difference the longer it goes on. 2 Vikings only against this. I don't think this attack is fated to succeed. He's got too many Stalkers on the ground. YongHwa with some crazy indecision here. That was a fight I think he could have taken easily, and he was so unsure of himself. Now Dream is just going to push through and kill him. He wasted way too many precious seconds walking back and forth. Even still, he looks like he's going to push this back, but he could have crushed that fight with both of his Colossi active early on with the Zealots he had and that Stalker count. The last Viking falls, and Dream now has enough army to push through here Maru style and maybe even kill this Nexus.
Yeah, I feel like he could continue to do damage. The Mothership Core is down. There's not going to be any more Time Warps, especially no overcharges here. Looks like he's not going to be too aggressive at the front. He's just going to try to pull this army back and then go for a drop at the main base. I like this as well. You know, continue kiting. He has, 4 Vikings at a time coming out. He's going to be able to deal with these Colossi as long as he doesn't lose into all those Stalkers there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just enough Protoss on the ground here that Dream is not respecting. I mean, Stalkers do bonus damage to Marauders. It's just how it is. If you think about it, Marauders do beat Stalkers in a straight-up fight, especially with Stim, but when you have this many Stalkers with some Colossus support, they just finish everything off so quickly. He's now going to go and chase this medevac down. Does escape. Another Colossus about to pop. Upgrade-wise, right now, YongHwa is at 2-2 versus the 1-1 with +2 only started for Dream. And this is just like suicidal type of aggression where you commit way too heavily to your aggression when you're already on 3 bases. You get greedy. And this is what happened to Dream, I feel like, in his career. He was such a great dropping Terran, but he always got too greedy. And if you keep throwing your drop ships away, you keep throwing units away on the Protoss who's continuing to get those upgrades, which recently, well, actually not recently at all, but like once they got that buff where they cost less money, which was not that long ago, but I mean, it was a pretty long time ago in the timeline of patches. That was when he started to fall off a little bit, because I mean, you look at the upgrades for YongHwa here, and he's just going to be able to start 3-3 very, very soon. If he wants to, because it looks like he's actually going to move out on the map and possibly even try to take out one of these bases.
Yeah, I feel like as long as he can defend back here at home, I'd even like to see some cannons. But look at this. I mean, just this tiny little drop is going to pull back the army of YongHwa entirely. He's been showing some pretty, harsh indecision in this game so far. He's, I feel like he's just not so confident in his play so far, but I feel like he may be able to take this fight. There's not that many Vikings in the air, and, he has a lot of Stalkers here.
I mean, I think one of the simplest things we can say about this is this has not been a perfect game for anybody. Both these players have made a lot of mistakes against each other.
We saw Dream up at 1,800 minerals before, like definitely not doing that efficiently before with his production.
Right. And just the situation here with this attack, he's got a good wall set up, but he only has 7 Vikings against 3 Colossi and a pretty decent Stalker count here. I really like how YongHwa builds his Colossus-oriented army. He only goes Colossi every single time he plays. I don't think I've ever seen Research Psystorm. So for him to actually play this Colossus, Blink Stalker, Charge Zealot style more than anybody else, I would say he knows how to do the ratio quite well. The barracks are eliminated here. And with all that extra Stalker DPS, he's able to clear out walls pretty quickly. A few more Zealots coming in here. 2-2 is about to finish for Dream, so he's no longer going to have that upgrade lead. And he's got a lot more Vikings coming through, so this is a fight that YongHwa may want to consider being a little bit careful on. I don't know how much he really wants to commit. He doesn't have to.
He's definitely got to be careful because he doesn't want the Charged Zealots to run in there. But, Dream wants to commit to this fight. He did stim in, but here come the Charged Zealots. A bunch of the Ghosts in the army as well. I think 1 EMP went off, but not really that efficient. And so many Zealots in the front to tank for this right now. And all the Vikings are going down with these Stalkers in the back.
Well, he's going to get the Lost Colossus, though, and that's pretty scary. But with all these Zealots to tank, plus the Stalkers at the back doing their extra damage, I feel like this is going to be enough. The composition built here by YongHwa is just much better. And all these ghosts, I feel, are an interesting idea, right? They're going to get good EMPs if you micro them perfectly. This command center will be saved, and this hurts YongHwa a lot. But the ghosts in that comp didn't really accomplish a whole lot. They came in a bit late. If they were Marauders, maybe could have pushed that back a little bit cleaner. As it is, he's still going to push it back. We don't know what this Archon is doing by himself.
Free Archon donated by YongHwa, and Dream is on the chase. All these Blink Stalkers trying to blink away, and we got reinforcements coming across the map. Could take, a decent tempo fight here, but it doesn't look like he wants to go for it.
This is just such a scrappy game by both of these players. Archon's now running in here for a little bit of harass. They are going to be picked off. I mean, this choice, can anybody look at that choice to run those 2 Archons in there and think that that's going to be worth it?
No, this has been some of the worst army control out of any Protoss in Pro League. I just have to say it right now.
I mean, that's just so much gas. That's 300 gas right there per Archon, so 600 gas and 200 minerals for almost killing like a few SCVs.
Yeah.
That was, that might have bought him some time. You could argue that, maybe. But here we go. These ghosts are just going to fight straight up. EMP is dodged with a blink, but there's way too much Terran army here now. Now we can just right-click the Nexus and then stem away. I think that's what we're going to see. Decides to fight, again, with the power of those EMPs. He's not dealing with any Templar here. His army is just so big, it doesn't matter anymore about the ghosts. Kills the Nexus here. And now with only 1 Viking, he's still going to chase this army down, do that extra damage, split his units very well. He's got enough medevacs here. The ghosts do a lot of extra damage to light units like those Zealots. And that's going to be all she wrote. He's going to push through this and end it. Those 2 Colossi being microed finally like champs, but, well, he actually survives here. That's a pretty impressive feat.
There's not enough Marauders in this comp as well. Look at all these Marines. I mean, even just those 2 Colossi are able to do so much damage with no Vikings in the air.
He's just like making only ghosts. It's like he's expecting there to be a storm transition, but he's playing against YongHwa, so it's never going to happen.
He made a Templar Archives. Of course, he had a bunch of Archons, but he never got storm. I mean, it's good, of course, for the shields on the Archons, but besides that, you definitely need Marauders in this comp as well.
YongHwa is a Protoss player who's never been known for his control. I mean, we saw a lot of mishaps in this game, and if you're not good at control, I actually said this a lot in Code A this past season. If you're not good at control, the Colossus style is going to be the one that you want, because it's actually just really easy to control. You micro back these big, tall units that are so easy to click on against Vikings. But storms and making sure your High Templar are split, you can dodge EMPs, that you actually control your storms well while also controlling your Colossi, Charge Zealots, making sure your units are the right composition. You don't have too many Stalkers or too many Zealots. That's much harder. And YongHwa has been able to be successful with this style in PvT for a very long time, many a year. So, I mean, it's not like his style is not good. It's just the way he likes to play it, and I don't know, Dream has just picked it apart. Now he's got 3-3 upgrades about to finish. YongHwa right now currently still on the 2-2. He doesn't have the resources he needs to afford any additional upgrades. If he tried to, it would cost him too much. And, I mean, I've been very critical of YongHwa in his recent play and in this game in particular, but Dream definitely making the better decisions and the better micro, which I feel is going to win him this game overall.
Yep, definitely. I have to agree with you. And, YongHwa, he's been on 3rd base for too long. Dream has had a 4th base for so long. This could be the end of YongHwa. Is he going to go for it? Lets the Vikings hit for a bunch. Very nice EMPs, goes over the entire army. I think he's just going to roll over this.
Looks disappointed here. It's been a tough time for YongHwa this year. That much is for sure. GG. Dream takes the game #1 for MVP. Definitely a lot of moments where he looked pretty shaky in that game too, committing to engagements that YongHwa could have won, but for one reason or another did not.
Yep. Not the highest level play we've seen here at Pro League, a bit sloppy, but that's going to do it. Dream is going to take it 1-0 for MVP. Getting them off to a good start. You said this is a very important first match, and MVP is going to get the lead.
Yeah. Now what we have is pretty cool, Brennan, because we're going into Life, a mercenary for IM, a Startail player, who's going up against Alive. So these 2 players haven't played each other in Korea in a very long time because, Life, first of all, is only playing in the GSL, and